Much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I am your host, Greg Fowler, traveling around the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, really gathering insight and information on what drives them, what inspires them, what really takes their business to the highest of highs, and what I would like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest, Treasure Davis, is our featured real estate titan today. Treasure, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Really
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we're going to kind of go through this in normal fashion, just breaking down the questions, really shedding a window or a light on you and your background and what really makes you a titan, Treasure. So I'm super excited, but let's just dive right in. Introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
Okay. So my name is Treasure Davis. I am native to Colorado Springs.
Awesome.
A lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
I did not grow up here though. I grew up in Kansas City.
Okay.
And then I graduated high school at 17, and I graduated with a nursing degree.
No way.
So I moved out. Well, I came out for the summer to see my parents. They lived in Salida,
Okay.
Colorado, and so I came out to see them, and ended up meeting my husband and was going to continue nursing school, and just some things shifted. So
Sure.
I don't know if you want me to fast forward or not, but I've been a realtor in Colorado Springs since 2005.
Okay.
And have been here ever since. But a little bit about me is that kind of my background is I started off in the medical field.
Okay.
So
what was it that really got you involved into that in the first place? Because that's a different industry altogether than real estate.
I think a lot of it was being in high school, and I was 16, and I was like, there's got to be more to life than high school.
Okay, fair enough.
And so I was super bored in high school, and so they were like, we need to do some things to, get you doing different things, because I had completed all of my education that I needed to do in high school, so they were like, let's put you in nursing school. And so my senior year of high school, I went to nursing school. I had a marketing class for an hour where I sold candy in the lunchroom, and then I went to work.
Okay.
So that's a great senior year, long time ago.
Yeah.
But and so that's just what the counselor was like, why don't you try this? And I'm like, okay, I'll do that.
Fair enough.
So then I moved out to Salida, and when we were doing our clinicals in nursing, it was much different because we were in a teaching hospital and a teaching nursing home. And so the care and the level of service that's provided to the residents or the patients is a lot different.
Okay.
And so when I got into the nursing field, I literally cried every single day.
Get out.
It was not my thing.
Wow.
Because I went to work in a nursing home because I loved it during clinicals. And so I was in a really small town with like one stoplight at the time. So there was not a lot of...
Truly small town.
Small town, one stoplight.
Okay.
So there was not an opportunity to I'll just go work at somewhere else,
Right.
And so then I was like, well, that's not really my thing. So I left that and decided to become a waitress because, I was 17 and I needed money.
Right.
And so I did that, and then I was like, gosh, I'm bored. I gotta do more. So I became a dental assistant.
Wow.
So I was a dental assistant, and I loved the people that I worked with. It was fantastic.
Get out.
And then I did that for a few years, and then I was like, I'm bored. There's nothing else I can do. I will always be, a dental assistant, which is, I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying,
not at all.
for me, I needed to have where I would have no ceiling on growth and opportunity and success. So for me, that's what I needed.
Wow.
And so I decided to go work at the prison in Buena Vista. Did you know that about me?
No. I don't know if anybody knew that about Treasure. Okay.
Mess with me.
Here we go.
So I worked at a medium security male prison in Buena Vista.
Wow.
And so I started off in the division called custody and control. So I worked for the major.
Okay.
And then worked my way up. And so when I left there, my end job was working for the warden. And I would get our cases together for the attorney generals.
Wow.
So when the inmates would sue, I'd get everything ready to send to the attorney generals.
Yeah.
So it was an amazing job.
Okay.
I was also the president of the employee council. So to make sure that the morale of everybody working at the prison stayed good, because as you can probably imagine, morale of people working there is tough.
Probably not so
because
good.
they're not seeing or dealing with the greatest things.
Okay.
So I did that, and I got pregnant with my first daughter.
Oh, great.
Yes. And I'm going to just go super deep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just like let you have
Let's
it.
do it. Let's do it. Let everybody out there have it.
So I started having dreams that I was going to have my baby in prison.
No way.
I know that sounds super weird, right?
Yeah.
And because we lived in Salida,
Okay.
and that's where the hospital was,
Mhm.
and Una Vista didn't have a hospital.
Oh.
And so I started just feeling like things weren't right, but everything was checking out perfect, but I just had this like intuition that like, I don't know, something's not right.
Okay.
And
sure.
so I was like, if I go into labor, they're going to keep me at the hospital, they're going to keep me here
Right.
until the plane can land to pick me up to bring me to Springs.
Okay.
So that's why I kept thinking like, that makes logical sense to me.
Mhm.
They're not going to put me in a car and drive me 30 minutes to the nearest hospital.
Right.
And so one night I was sleeping and I woke up and I was like, something's not right. So
Okay.
obviously I didn't go to work, thank goodness.
Right.
And I ended up going to the doctor, and he was like, I was 28 weeks along, and you're pretty close there with your wife. You're like 23?
23, yeah.
Okay. So they were like, you're going to have a baby. And I was like, 28 weeks is way too early.
Wow.
So I stayed in the hospital for a week, and I'm getting to how I got into real estate.
Yeah, no,
so.
this is good.
Okay.
This is good. We're gathering
If people
insight.
don't know me, they're
That's it.
really going to know me after
That's
today.
right.
So the good, bad, whatever.
This is good. This is good.
So I went to, so I stayed in the hospital in Salida for about a week,
Okay.
and then they were like, gosh, there's not a lot we can do for you and the baby here, so we're gonna flight for life you to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
But the weather was too bad, so they had to ambulance me to the to the Colorado Springs Hospital.
Wow.
So they ambulanced me to Colorado Springs. I was in the hospital, so I went, to back up a second,
Mhm.
my husband and I had we both worked at the prison.
Okay.
So he was an officer.
Oh.
Mhm.
Okay.
We did not meet in prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah, we did not meet in prison. So my husband worked there as an officer. I worked there. He had a sprinkler business,
Okay.
and I had a wedding store.
No way.
And so we had all four of those businesses going. We were super busy, super active. Again, I'm not the one who likes to do one thing. I like to have my hands in lots of things and lots of businesses.
Right.
And so I went from literally running all of that to flat on my back.
Wow.
I could get up for 30 minutes a day, and I could either have a shower or a wheelchair ride.
No way.
So I can remember, since we're best friends,
Yeah,
right?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
So I can remember taking a ride in the wheelchair, and my husband took me down to the kitchen, and so I can remember going down there and going like, they have string cheese down here?
Wait a minute.
You guys have been holding out on me.
How dare you?
I've
String
been
cheese.
in the hospital for 4 weeks. Like,
Oh, gosh.
I mean, it was really, really tough, and I think during that time, I learned and reflected a lot about myself because it wasn't about me.
Mm-hmm.
It was about getting my daughter here healthy. And so when people are in that situation, they say like one day the mom's in the hospital saves the baby 3 days in intensive care.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it was a really big deal. So fast forward, she is born,
Okay.
and she is born at 32 weeks.
Okay.
So then we spend the next 5 weeks in the hospital in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
We live in Salida. We
Okay.
don't live here. My husband had to go back to work because he did not have 9 weeks of leave saved up.
Right.
So when we went to leave the hospital, and I'm going to tie this all in together.
No, you're good, you're good.
So they were like, well, you are leaving the hospital. And I'm like, where am I going?
Right.
I don't live here.
Sure.
I don't have anything here, And the thought of leaving your baby, you will experience this very, very soon,
Yes, yeah.
is like, I would rather not live than leave my baby.
Sure.
And so they were like, well, you can go stay at the Ronald McDonald House. And I was like, what's that?
Right at the time. What?
And they were like, it's a house where you stay out with other families, and you kind of share spaces. And I was like, ooh,
Wow.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
and they were like, that's your choice, or you can stay in a hotel.
Mhm.
But this way, there's other moms and families there that are going through the same situation. And so I was like, well, I'll go check it out.
Okay.
I'll just go check it out. So the minute I walked the door of the house here in Colorado Springs, it was like I was home.
Wow.
and they greeted me so nicely. Of course, I cried the half a block it is from the hospital to the front door of the Ronald McDonald House, cried my eyes out. And I walked in and I was like, okay, we're gonna get through this.
Okay.
And so I spent the next 5 weeks living in the Ronald McDonald House. I had to like abandon everything.
Unreal.
And that was a really dark, hard time in my life because I went from running businesses to, you know, having my house and all of that to all I cared about was this baby.
Yeah.
That was my whole world. And also during that time, you learn a lot about yourself and what you can do and what's really important to like who you are.
For sure.
So we leave the hospital. She's there for 5 weeks. We leave the hospital. We go back to Colorado Springs, or we go back to Salida.
Okay.
And we get there, and I'm like, my heart's just not here anymore. My heart is because she was born 8 weeks early.
Okay.
So we didn't know if she was going to have needs that needed to be met. Thank goodness she did not.
Oh,
she's
good.
very healthy.
Okay.
She's now almost 15. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, crazy. Time
But
flies.
it does fly. But during that time, I just wanted to be where if she needed something, I could get her something. So they say like when kids are early that sometimes their balance is off because, you know, things didn't develop all the way like they should have. So I was like, well, I got to put her in like gymnastics so she can just kind of work that out. Kind of like a hard love, you know, tough love kind of like, you're going to work this out, kid.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got to go to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
So my father-in-law was selling real estate in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And every time I called him, he was watching baseball games and making six figures and made it look so easy. And I was like, wait a minute, we're working 4 jobs to make 6 figures.
Right.
I could work 1 job and make 6 figures. Like, that's good math.
Kind of no-brainer that way. That's fair.
Right? So we ended up selling both of our businesses.
Okay.
And the person that bought my wedding store ended up moving it to Castle Rock.
Wow.
And it thrived there for many, many years. She just retired from doing that. Wow. But it did really well.
Okay.
The Springsboro business did really well. And so we literally left. So we still have our house there.
Okay.
Which was a good investment to make during the time.
I was going to ask you, yeah.
Crazy.
Okay.
So we have a house there. We buy a house here when they were doing stated income.
Sure.
Interest-only loans at 6%. I'm new to real estate, don't have a sphere. I'm not from here.
Right.
And my husband quit his state job. Like,
wow.
Probably not the best math that we could have done, but we took a leap of faith.
Okay.
And so a month into it, my father-in-law was also doing multi-level marketing stuff, and he hit it big.
Wow.
So he was like, why am I going to sell real estate when I'm just making all of this money?
Right.
And so he was like, nothing happened, nothing was wrong. He was just like, I don't want to work that hard.
Okay.
And so he was like, I'm out. And I was like, do you have a database or
That was smart.
anything
good
to like
questions to ask? Yeah.
anything to like follow up on? And he's a great guy, but he was like, no.
Wow.
And so I was like, so he was literally done.
Okay.
And I can remember going to my broker, going like, so I have 2 houses, I have a baby, and my husband quit his amazing state job.
Okay.
I quit my amazing state job that you just can't go and get back.
Sure.
Those jobs are now gone.
Right.
What do I do? And they are the people that I respect and love the most, Nolan and Denise Burt. I don't know if you know them.
Okay, no, I don't.
So Denise is at a different company, but they were like, we've got this. Like, we will help you and teach you what you need to know. Wow. And so they, and Ann Patterson, and they taught me how to write contracts.
Wow.
And negotiate contracts and follow up with clients and do everything that I was supposed to do. And I literally held on to every client or potential client that came my way.
Unreal.
Because I didn't have anything else. You know, I didn't have anything.
Sure.
And so real estate for me came kind of easy. Like
Okay.
my grandfather was a realtor, my mom's in real estate, my aunts and uncles were in real estate, my sister's in real estate. So it kind of comes naturally to be in real estate.
It's almost in your DNA.
It's almost in my DNA.
Okay.
I think I might bleed. Is there real estate blood?
It could come out. I'm sure.
Be
there
careful.
is.
Let's not let it come out.
We don't want to see that today.
No. So I just started off, having really organic, successful growth because I was doing things the right way,
Okay.
not the easy way.
Which does matter, and it makes a huge difference.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Because in this business, there are times where you can do what's right or what's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And to step back and go, I'm not going to do what's easy, I'm going to do what's right. Because this is it looks very big. This is a very small town.
True.
Where everybody knows everybody, everybody's connected to everybody, and I had a really great mentor when I first got into real estate who was like, you have to find a niche. And I was like, no, I'm going to sell this whole city.
This whole city's mine.
This whole city is mine.
Yeah.
I am native, this is mine. And he was like, no, it doesn't have to be like a specific neighborhood per se, but you have to pick a niche that you love. Like what puts fire in your belly?
Sure.
And for the longest time I fought it because I was like, no, I'm going to sell to whoever comes my way. And then I started thinking, well, I need to have an avatar of like, who do I want to work with? Because we all know in any industry and in any business, there are clients that you love.
Sure.
And there are clients that suck the life out of you and make you feel really bad about who you are and what you do. So I was like, I'm going to think of who I want to work with. Like, who am I excited about? Like, when they call, like, who do I feel like, ooh, I love that phone call.
Right.
And for me, it was our military.
Beautiful.
Because I have two brother-in-laws that are active duty.
Okay.
My grandfather was in the military.
Wow.
And my great uncle that I don't know if you saw passed away. He was a World War II vet.
I did not see that.
So I'm super proud of the military connections that I do have.
Okay.
But more importantly, like I've seen it from like an outsider perspective of the hardships and the things that they experience when they're deploying and when they have kids and when they experience loss.
Okay.
And how that all translates. And coming from an outside, I was like, gosh, that is tremendous sacrifice that while I respect and I don't fully understand, because I don't want to personally, I don't think I'm strong enough to make that sacrifice.
Okay.
And I respect it tremendously because I see so many of my friends and my clients and my colleagues and my team that are like, I don't know if he's going to call. And even in real estate where we are getting ready to close and you have to do an alive and well before we can close on a transaction, like that's horrible. Like that's horrible that you have to verify that someone is alive before they can close on a house.
Truly.
And so I have tremendous, and I'm sure you can kind of feel my energy
now
because I'm like,
truly. I hope everybody can feel that because this is very important
Yeah.
to who you are and what you represent. So this is good for everybody.
it's really like who I am because while a lot of realtors, and I'm not bashing my industry or my colleagues, are just like, they see the military in lots of facets because the military is what makes Colorado's breathe.
I agree.
It's the heartbeat of our city.
I agree.
If we were to lose the military, the city would be nothing, in my opinion.
It would be in big trouble.
It would. I mean, so while we have to respect them, we also have to respect that they do a lot for our community and protect us from bad things that I don't even want to know about.
Sure.
Right?
Truly.
So I can remember like watching my clients' husbands like deploy and giving like the daddy bear to them, and I happened to be there and I was crying and the wife was consoling me. And I was like, your strength is unbelievable.
Sure.
Like, I don't know how you do it.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Personally, truly. I just.
Like, oh, I'm going to have a baby. Like, one of my clients and really great people that I love and respect, she's getting ready to have twins.
Okay.
And she already has 3 kids. And he's deploying.
Wow.
And she already has a set of twins and an older daughter. So she's going to be doing 5 kids by herself while her husband's deployed, like that's sacrifice. That is,
Truly.
you know, and when they're like, when I work on Fort Carson, I'm a volunteer realtor on Fort Carson.
Okay.
And so when I'm in there and they're like, yeah, so we can just, you know, make anything work because we're going to be renting here for like 5 months and you know, the kids can bunk up and do all this. And I'm like, you have resilient kids.
Okay.
Because people don't realize that nowadays kids are like, I want my own bedroom, I want my own TV, and these kids are like, you're here, you're making friends, oh, you know, mom or dad got orders.
Sure, see you later.
Now we're going. And just seeing like how amazing military families are and how they have to come together and become this amazing family unit has been something that I've just really respected.
Okay.
And my piece of that is when they decide that they want to buy a house, is not saying, oh great, well you qualify for, you know, 500,000. Let's sell you a house at 500,000. It's like, do you want to start at 350?
Right.
Do you want to see what you can get for 350? Because that gets you a substantial house here.
Correct.
You know, so let's go look there and see if you find anything and then bump up from there. Let's make sure we're staying in your BAH. Let's make sure we're making a wise investment so that if you want to rent it out, you can rent it out. If you don't want to rent it out, we're exploring other options that we're not just going like, oh, well, you want to buy a house in a brand new development that's going to take 10 years to build out and you're going to be competing with the builder. That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're looking at their long term, making sure that when they PCS to Colorado Springs, that they have a place to live when they get here.
Sure.
Like before you're finding them a new build that's going to take 6 months to build, like where are they going to live in the meantime? Because the rental market is tough here, super tough. So just making sure that you're always doing what's right by people and never having it about your paycheck and never calculating your commissions is really
that's huge.
The heartbeat of who we are.
Truly, and I think that that's a huge indicator. Hopefully everybody caught those pieces, but if you're really looking at it from the standpoint of why you're doing this and what's going on, you care. It is not just about the paycheck for you. And, you know, having that military tie and spacing that out, you have an impeccable reputation in this marketplace, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
You know, with that sphere, but it's important to know that there's so much more. It's not just short-term, but long-term, and these are family. I mean, these are becoming members of your family through real estate. So there's a passion there. Now this is a beautiful kind of precursor into what is your why, Treasure? I mean, truly, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What motivates you to do this every day to the high level that you do it at? I mean, what is that for you?
So, I mean, first and foremost for me, it's my girls.
Okay.
I mean, they're my everything. And I would say for me, it's really my team. Like,
wow,
I miss them
Okay.
on Fridays. Like, when I know I'm not going to see them for the weekend, I truly miss them.
Wow.
Like, they are some of the best people in the industry that we just came together, again, very organically.
Okay.
My dream was to never have a team. I didn't start off to have that kind of a dream.
Right.
Teams didn't exist when I got into real estate.
Okay.
People had assistants, but teams weren't a thing.
Yeah.
You know, they were still kind of wondering if the internet was going to stay going when I got into real estate.
Right.
We still had MLS books.
Yeah,
At
there
the
you
very
go.
tail end
There
of
you
that.
go.
So.
Going back a little bit, everybody. This is great.
We still had phones on our desk, people.
That's awesome.
If you left, you missed that phone call.
Yes, it is gone. There was a cord attached to it.
There was. It didn't do this, though.
Okay, that's too far.
Too far. So I think for us, it's really like seeing my team be successful and seeing my team achieve everything that they hope and want for their families. Oh man, it's a passion that drives me because not only are they my colleagues, but they're some of the people that I respect the most in life and in business.
Okay.
And so I would say for me, it's part my family and building wise around like my family and where we see that dream and vision going.
Okay.
So for example, my daughter was getting ready to study Pompeii.
Oh.
And so we had always had a dream of taking her while she was studying, you know, certain things like the Mayan ruins. We wanted her to go see the Mayan ruins while she was studying the Mayan ruins.
Okay.
And so we were able to do that. And then she was going to study Pompeii, and I was like, what better way than to see Pompeii?
Right? I mean, truly.
Right? And so we were able to take her to Pompeii, and she was able to bring some stuff back for her teacher. And I'm like, that's my why. Like, that's what drives me, because I'm building these experiences with my kids that are not around material things.
Right.
They're not, I mean, the best Christmas I've ever had was when we were on the beach in Honduras, which is a third world country.
Okay.
And I can remember driving to the beach and looking at people, and the kids didn't have presents, they didn't have trees, they didn't have all of this stuff, but you've never seen happier people. Because they had what mattered the most, which was their family and their friends. And you could see it. I didn't have to talk to them. Like, you could see it driving through. They're all outside. They're having, dinner together. They're just really enjoying life. Like, for them, it's not about the material things.
Sure.
And so that was something that always stuck with me.
Okay.
And I can remember playing in the ocean with my daughter, and I'm like, in Honduras, and I was like, this is what life is about. This is what life is about for me. So for me, it's about those experiences that I have with my children.
Love it.
Because they're gone in an instant. They're going to college. They're having their own families. And while the dream will continue, it's just gonna be a little bit differently. Where now it's just like our time with our girls.
Sure. And that's a big why. I mean, you're talking about your family, but then your team, which is a portion of your family too. And that's very evident. Anybody who knows you and knows your brand and your team, you can feel the love. I mean, just through social media posts and activities you guys do together. Yeah. So it's evident, at least from an outside eye looking in, and I'm sure everybody out there will resonate or echo that exact nature. So I think that's something for everybody to take away, and everybody has a different why and a different driving force, but I don't see anything better or higher than that. That's the people around you, the people you care for. That's everything.
And I think another piece of that is like the clients that I get to meet and I have the opportunity to assist and be a part of their lives. Like, this year has been honestly the best year for me in real estate. Wow. Of course, transaction wise,
sure,
but more importantly, like, I have clients coming back to me that were from 2009 that are like, we love you and we wouldn't use anybody else. And I'm like, that means so much to me. Or like this morning I was chatting with my very first real estate client. Wow. From 2005. Like, we are still great friends. She lives in Nebraska now, and she is one of my biggest supporters. And she was like, I saw the pictures of the office and I just see what you're doing, and I'm just so proud of like where you are. And I love to tell my clients, like, look, I'm a big girl now. But
I'm on my own. I made it.
I know, it's just so great to have them still a part of my lives, and I'm still a part of their lives.
So that is a beautiful segue just for everybody to get a little bit deeper of an insight as far as what you do and how you do it. So I guess for the next question, and hopefully that'll tail into this, if you could kind of look at your career path and the time frame that you've done it in and accomplished so much in this time frame, if you could look at one or two things that you added, if it was a coach or if it happened to be a system or something that you did that elevated your business to the next level, what might that be, or what did you do? So I guess for some advice for some of the newer real estate professionals out there, or even some seasoned professionals that are trying to really elevate their game. So what was that?
So for me, it's 100% my coach. And I've watched your show, so I know lots of people say their coach. I think that there's a trend to that other real estate professionals should listen to, is like, while one system works for others, it's really a good idea for them to explore and see what coaching system works the best for them. I found a coaching system that not only does it provide great insight and great information, but if I want to revamp things and revise things, they freely share. And I don't have to reinvent the wheel. But more importantly, the people in the coaching system are my best friends. And when we had the grand opening that you came to, and thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, treasure. And I just have to say this, anybody who wasn't there, they missed out on an awesome gathering. I mean, it was packed, and this office is gorgeous. I mean, you guys can't see. I mean, we're in Treasure's environment right now in her personal office, but there's custom artwork on the walls, there's custom tables. I mean, really beautiful stuff. So,
thank you.
For sure.
Thank you. So some of my friends, not all of them, but they flew across the country to be here for the grand opening.
Wow.
And that speaks volumes because they're busy professionals as well. You know, they're in the top 1% in Boston and Florida and Tennessee, Chattanooga, you know, California. Like, they're in the top 1% of their markets as well.
Wow.
And for them to take time to come and be a part of something so important for me, I was like, gosh, what an amazing adventure that I'm on and that I get to be a part of, strictly because I was like, I'm going to learn and be coachable.
Right.
So that was something that, but before I got into coaching, I had mentors in Colorado Springs. You know, I aligned myself with people that mentored me along the way, whether they were at the same company that I was at or not. It didn't matter because they came along in the journey.
Sure.
And some of them believed in me before I even knew what to believe in myself.
Wow.
And that's really powerful because they're technically competitors.
Surely.
But we didn't see it that way.
Okay.
And I aligned myself my whole career with people that have always been, you know, they've always been smart, hungry, and humble.
Love that.
And it's really, I think, made me who I am today and really aligned with how I want my reputation to be in Colorado Springs.
Sure.
And so I would say, you know, if you aren't ready to get into coaching, then align yourself with people in this industry that will help you and come alongside of you to teach you things and mentor things. And, you know, even some of my best friends at Remax, you know, where I work, when we had vacations or things, we'd cover each other and support each other and just be like, hey, I have this situation, like, what do you think? And that's really been a phenomenal piece of my business, is aligning myself with amazing realtors that technically are competitors, but they're not. They're best friends. And they're people that also came to the grand opening and support the journey, because great realtors, there's enough abundance in this mentality that other realtors don't have to take other realtors out to get their name
or
heard.
Hide information they're too afraid to share, you know, that sort of thing. And
so that's something that, you know, the players in the market when I got into the business have always been the players in the market. And I never looked at them and said, I'm going to take them out. I'm gonna take what they have. I have never done that. I've never spent my time looking at people's numbers to see what they're doing and how can I get a piece of that pie. Never done that. Since 2005, that's never been who I am. I've always been like a you versus you, you know, mentality. Like, that's okay, beautiful. I did this. Okay, I'm gonna do this next year. I'm gonna see what I need to do to get there, and it's always been just a gradual step. I've never looked at it and said like, oh, I'm gonna take them out. And I have people that come up to me and they're like, yeah, so I'm gonna kick your ass next year. And I'm like, what do you say to that?
Like, thank you.
I know, I'm like,
good luck.
Yeah, I'm like, great. Like, I don't know what to say to that, but
that's weird.
That's something that, it's like when people are like, oh, that's an unusual name, and I'm like, yeah,
that's my name.
Didn't change it to this.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Dad. My dad's watching this and he's like, Hardy right now.
Heart, yes.
Like it.
I helped name her. I think that you had a lot of really good facets inside there. I mean, starting with the coaching, I think that that's a reoccurring thing with the top or upper echelon of professionals in most fields, not just real estate.
For sure.
So could we maybe give a shout out to your coach, or is that something that you don't want to share?
No, I'm happy to share that.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm coached with Tom Ferry.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
And I coached with another system before that.
Okay.
So I did coaching at Remax. They had a system called P4, which was sorry, my phone just dropped.
You're good.
So I coached with P4 and it was phenomenal. And then I just got to this plateau where I was like, I'm ready for something more.
Okay.
And not that I outgrew it, I was just like, I want to see what else is out there. So I tried a coaching system and it just wasn't for me.
Okay.
And so then I was at R4 and I happened to hear Tom Ferry talk.
Awesome.
And I was like, that's that's who I am.
Okay.
Now it took me 8 months to sign up after I heard all that, because it's a big expense.
Sure, for sure.
And so I was like, I don't know. Now looking back, I wish that I would have encouraged myself to do it sooner.
Earlier, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
But it's scary, you know,
Right.
to pay that amount of money for someone to tell you what to do.
Mhm.
Like,
and you think, oh, I'm doing pretty well. You know, what's this person going to tell me that I don't already know?
right?
But
And girls are pretty bossy anyway.
I love it. I love it. Strength. There's strength there. That's good.
Yeah, we're boss babes. Like, we got this.
I
We
love
we run the world.
Yeah.
Run the world. So,
Truly.
yes. So I would say probably coaching.
Okay.
And I would also say just really staying like true to who you are
Mhm.
and not trying to look at what everybody else is doing around you,
Right.
because it gets very deflating and deflating
Right.
of, well, I'm not doing that and I'm not getting this and I'm not doing that. It's like, focus on what you are and who you are and stay true to who you are
Mhm.
through this process, because this business is, I mean, it'll eat you up.
Truly, yeah, it really will.
Yeah.
It really will.
And you
It's not
have
for
to stay
everybody.
true to you and how you want to work and what you want your reputation to be.
Okay.
And sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
So,
But you just keep moving forward. And back to something that you mentioned earlier is that mentor-mentee opportunity. And,
yes.
you know, when times are tough and you go through, it's nice to have the guidance and the mentors around you. And now I think this is a wonderful time for you to continually give back to your team and,
Yes.
and mentor them. And as things are going, I mean, so it becomes a shift.
Yes.
Right? And that's the beauty of that. I mean, and successful people want to share. Going back to what you said earlier,
Yes.
it's truly not being selfish with the knowledge. There's plenty of business out there.
Yes.
Really understanding that and surrounding yourself with more successful people, smarter people, faster, better people. We all accelerate our lives, but you always want to try to help where you can. But just
Absolutely.
know that, again, that guilty by association scenario is true.
Yes.
Personally and professionally, that's who you become. Top five, either way. So I think that there's a lot of really good information in there, being true to you, the coaching, the mentoring. So many people need to really listen to this because this breaks down the fundamentals, and I've heard this from time to time from other Titans as well.
Yes.
And again, you guys are not all created equal. There's a reason why you're in that level that you are and have that background that you have.
Mhm.
So no, that's a great ad. So thanks for sharing that, Treasurer. So the next question into this,
Okay.
going to it. So we'll go a little deeper,
Uh-oh.
on Treasure, just to kind of see what we
Haven't
get.
I already done that?
No, yes, we have. We're going even more.
Okay.
So essentially, we all go through challenges in our lives, right? And I think that's really what makes us who we are. And at the end of the day, when things are good, we can all go through that. It's easy street. But those challenges really mold us and shape us. So if you could pinpoint one or two challenges that really stick out to you that you overcame, that made you a stronger person after the fact, what does that look like for you?
Gosh, I've had a lot of challenges in my life.
Okay.
I know that it looks all roses,
Sure.
but it has not been all roses.
Okay.
And I think you know a little bit about my story.
A little.
Okay.
But let's share.
Oh,
out
we're gonna
there.
share.
Yeah,
We could have just leave it right there.
Hold on, we're gonna go off live for a
Yeah.
second.
Let's do that, please. So, in 2008, we got pregnant,
Okay.
and I was nervous that I was going to have another preterm baby.
Okay.
I didn't, and he did not survive childbirth.
Wow.
So he was stillborn, and so I went from going to the doctor's office on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
saying he's perfect, he could come today, he'll be amazing, and I'm not trying to scare you.
No.
Don't think about this kind of stuff.
No. Try not to. Mental block.
Yeah, block this
Yes.
out of your mind. But going from that situation to having my baby shower on Saturday,
Okay.
and Sunday morning waking up going, I don't feel I'm moving. There's something, I don't feel I'm moving.
Okay.
And then coming to the realization that he's not going to live.
Okay.
And then going from, I have a real estate career,
Mm-hmm.
I have transactions going on,
Sure.
I have people counting on me, and I'm burying my son. And I went from having a baby to planning a funeral for my
Wow.
son. And there's no, life insurance because he's technically not born.
Right.
And paying for the funeral is the same cost as other funerals.
Right.
So going like, how are we going to pay for this? And this grief that you have and this guilt that you have over, if I would have just told the doctor,
Sure.
take him Friday, he would have been here. But there was nothing wrong. He was perfect. Like, he came out weighing over 6 pounds. Like, he was perfect.
Wow.
So from going to that and going to have clients that counted on you, and you don't care about any of it, none of it.
Just gone.
Done.
Yeah. Okay.
You go from, I'm a successful, thriving mom, I have everything going for me, I'm on top of the world, to why do I have to eat again is a really hard, I mean, I'm going super deep
No,
with
this
you.
is
Like,
good.
here
This
we
is
go.
good, Treasure.
Your eyebrows have like turned on
Yes,
me.
yes.
Are you leaving?
No, I'm not leaving. Hopefully everybody's listening. Hopefully everybody's listening to this.
Yeah. So I think something that got me through it and pulled me through it was honestly my clients.
Okay.
Because, I mean, my family was there, but they were in the midst of the guilt as well. You know, they were coming to bury their grandson as well. They, you know, my daughter had lost her brother, you know, and we had to do all this stuff that we didn't even know existed. Like, I had no idea any of this existed.
Right.
I mean, I'd heard that babies didn't make it, but I had no idea it was full term. Like,
Right.
I was completely oblivious to life.
Sure.
And so my clients are the ones that, I mean, and obviously my faith, which is why I have it tattooed on my wrist,
All right.
is because that's really what pulled me through that time. So Angela, who you met, who's my listing manager,
Yeah.
she was one of my clients at the time.
Okay.
And at the time, so I had my real estate colleagues and my friends step in and take over my business for me, which was phenomenal. I mean, I think that's a really true testament to who you are, is when you have a tragedy and people are like, I got this. Let me help you. I don't need a referral fee. Like, let's just, you know, get this going.
When the chips are down, that's really, you know who your real friends are, you know
For
who your
sure.
confidants are. I mean, when everything's good, everybody wants to be around.
Right.
So that's a big lesson.
So I learned in that time, like, who really were my friends. This is probably your heaviest interview you've done, isn't it?
This is good. This is really good,
Okay.
Treasure. Yeah.
So they jumped in, and Angela was my client at the time, and she canceled her listing. And I can remember thinking, not only did my son just pass away,
Right.
but now I'm not going to have that business.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
kick a girl when she's down.
What else is gonna happen? Just keep it rolling.
I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, God, I'm not a badass. Like, I'm not. Sorry, I'm cussing a little.
Oh no, you're good. You're
Okay.
good. Ah, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. This is an adult show.
Okay, good. I'll keep it.
That's fair.
Clean.
That's fair.
So, but fast forward, like, because she came back to me, like 6 months, 8 months later, they called me and said, because I never followed back up with them. I was
Okay.
like, well, clearly they're done, and clearly I'm done.
Right.
And she called me and she's like, we're ready for you to list our house. And I'm like, well, what happened? And she was like, we wanted to use you. And we were willing to wait because we wanted to use you. We wanted you to be a part of our journey. And I was like, wow.
Unreal.
Like, that's powerful. And then I have some clients who were in the military. And I can remember, like, people, like, were like, you know, you gotta get up and you gotta do this for your daughter. And I was like, I can't.
Sure.
And I can remember, like, my family being over and they were trying to, like, you know, get me to get out of the house. And I was like, I can't leave. I can't do this. I didn't even know that the market in 2008 had downturned.
Okay.
Because I was in my own struggles.
You were,
And I still sold 20 houses.
Wow.
I don't even remember how 20 houses got sold that year.
Pieced together somehow.
Thankfully, I mean, I had great friends that were realtors that helped out, but I can remember one of my clients calling me and saying, I have tickets to the Broadmoor tonight to see Vince Gill and Amy Grant sing acoustic.
Cool.
It's for only certain military members,
Okay.
and I would like to bring you as my guest. It was for like 20 people.
Wow.
Maybe 30 people.
Super intimate.
And I was like, no. Like, I could never go. And I hung up the phone, and my family was like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, oh, just one of my clients wanted me to go to this thing. And they were like, you need to go to that. Like, you can't get that experience back. Like, you'll never be invited to something like that again.
Sure.
And so I can remember going, and like I sat in the car the whole time, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have anything to say, you know, because I hadn't driven. I hadn't, like, I completely lost everything of who I was.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting in the car, and I was like, sorry, like, I don't have anything to, like, say. Super awkward. Like, I know you love me and you invited me. So we go to the concert, and I can remember sitting there, and I can remember for the first time I smiled, and I was like, that was really a nice time. Wow. And so we drove home, and I talked a little bit more. And then the next day, it was like one of our beautiful Colorado sunshine days where the weather's perfect. There's no breeze. Like, you're just like, and I went outside, and I was like, just the sun beating on me. I'm like, the sun's going to shine again. Wow. And I just had all of these clients keep coming back to me in that time where I was not looking for them. But they were like, we waited for you. We wanted you. Like, we know your ethics and your standards and what you're going to do for us, and we wanted you. Yeah. And looking back on that time, while it was a hardship for sure, I don't wish anybody to ever lose a child. Like, it really, that's when I was like, I'm in this business for not only I can help people negotiate through and make sure that they're making a wise investment with their biggest financial decision. But it's also becoming part of their lives, as little or as much as that is, right? I mean, for everybody, it's a little bit different, you know. For some, like when my colonel retired from the Air Force Academy, I went to his retirement party. Wow. And was so proud to be a part of that event with them. And for other people, you know, it's like, good luck to you. We still stay in touch on Facebook and all of that. But it's just, you know, varying levels of relationships. I don't want people to think, like, once you use Treasure, like, she's at your table at Christmas.
Not everybody.
Not everybody. But there's just some people that you know that you just, like, gel with and you have this connection with.
Right.
And because I built my avatar early on of what I wanted my client to look like, I've been very, very blessed with the people that have come into my life that are some of my nearest and dearest friends. Wow. So
that's huge.
Yeah.
And just all the way through, Treasure, and, you know, thanks for sharing that, because that was not easy to share, so hopefully everybody appreciated that. I think that it's hard to describe what you've been through. There's several people out there, hopefully, that have seen that, resonated with it. Ultimately, I take it away from everybody's background that we never want to judge a book by its cover. And we might have days that we're down, and we might deal with issues ourselves, but somebody has it worse. Life is so precious, and I think that hopefully everybody takes it from that. And again, thanks for sharing, because that's not easy.
It literally changes literally in a moment. Like, in a moment.
Right.
Life can knock you flat on your back. And walking this journey of life, I've seen some of my nearest and dearest friends experience great tragedy. And who shows up to be by their side. And that's really, like, the grand opening, you know, you invite all these people.
Sure.
No one RSVPs anymore.
No one.
You have no idea if one person's going to show up, if it's just going to be, like, your mom and dad, and you're like, good job, honey.
This is beautiful, thanks.
And I'm like, thanks, guys, you know.
Sure.
Or who's going to show up from the community.
Right.
And I was really humbled that night when it was other realtors and other professionals and other people from the community that came. And, you know, my real estate colleagues from across the country, my coach came from Kentucky to be here and be a part of it. And it was really humbling to see, like, who showed up.
Sure.
You know, like, that's who shows up in your life. Like,
that's your love.
So thank you for being there.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't miss it. I really
thank you. It meant a lot.
Yes. I mean, it was just such an exciting time. And again, it was packed. I mean, you know, it was packed wall to wall. I saw you and I was like, hey, Treasure. And then everybody wanted to talk to you. So, but it was a good time for sure.
Thank you.
So on a slightly softer note,
okay, let's do it.
Let's take it and switch gears to a slightly different question. So if you could go back in time, Treasure, and give a piece of advice or two to your younger self?
Okay.
And it could be personally, professionally. What might that be? What would you advise your young version with?
So, I would say a couple of things. The first thing I would say is always take the time every year to look at where you were.
Okay.
Because you forget that along the way.
Right.
Like I was reminded of that literally yesterday by one of my teammates.
Okay.
She was like, I know you're kind of having a hard day, but remember this, you said you wanted to do this and you've done this. And I was like, you're right.
All right.
I have done that.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
Like that's awesome. And that's who I've surrounded myself with.
Big.
And so taking the time to like look back at where you have been and what you want to do. Again, it's you versus you, right?
Right.
I'm not looking at anybody else. I'm looking at where I've been and where I'm going and who I want to surround myself with and the journey that I want to go on and the dreams that I've had. And in coaching, looking back year over year, like I got to the point where I was like, I don't know what to dream anymore. Like this building was a dream that I never thought I would have.
Wow.
You know, and now to be here and be like, it turned out better than I dreamt. Like it's a really amazing thing to experience.
Okay.
So I would say taking the time to look back and remember where you came from and remember who you are.
Beautiful.
The other thing I would say, because I have younger kids, is taking the time to be present, actually present in the moment.
Wow.
And putting the phone down. And just being there. It doesn't have to be like a lot of times with women. I'm sure this is for men, but I'm not a man, so I can't speak the man role.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
So we experience guilt for being away from our kids.
Okay.
Because we have friends that stay at home and they don't understand why we're choosing to not be with our kids.
Right.
And so sometimes they say things that they don't mean. They're assume best intentions from other people, right? And they say things and you're like, you know, they're like, do you feel bad that, you know, you missed them eating their first cupcake at preschool? And I'm like, no. Can't say that I do. Like I schedule the things that are important to me, like kindergarten graduation.
Sure.
I'm there. Field trips. I may not go to all of them, but when I go to one, I'll actually be there.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, well, I spend all day with my kids, but is it really actual quality time? And I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying
you're not.
Every woman has a journey and everybody has a plan that they want to follow.
For sure.
And for me, it's always been, I want to teach my girls that they can kind of have it all. They can be successful, strong women.
Right.
And, you know, build the life that they want to build and bring my kids alongside them. You know, I feel like, I hope that when they look back at this, that they realize that I've taught them to have a really great work ethic. Like, they deliver Popeyes in our neighborhood.
Oh, that's great.
They get their little wagon and they
awesome.
pull them down the street, and I'm like, this is, you know, when I was growing up, I did it for my dad's business.
Okay.
I delivered door knockers, you know, like door hangers on there.
Sure.
That's just who we came from.
Right.
And I think it teaches a work ethic that I want my children to have.
Right.
And so I think for me, that's been a really huge part of who I am and, you know, what I want to carry on for others to see. So
I think that's a really good takeaway, is being present, being in the moment, and being intentional with that. Because I mean, I know that everybody has a different walk of life, or example of what a good parent is or what time frame is, but it's got to fit for you and your representation, right?
Yeah.
You have to live with your decisions. But I think that more people out there, myself included, we all need to be more present. There's so many distractions, there's so much technology, there's so much innovation that's happening inside here that time flies by.
It does.
And at least for me, I don't know about for you, but every year I get older, it goes faster.
Yes.
And it's just, and the fact that I'm so blessed, and so is my wife, for us to be pregnant right now, that it's putting a completely different spin on things too. So, but really picking and choosing, being intentional with your time, I mean, that's beautiful advice. It doesn't matter, young treasure or, you know, later on in life, everybody needs that piece.
Yes.
For sure.
And even if it's just like, a lot of people get hung up on the amount of time.
Right.
It just needs to be like, last night I played hide and go seek with my daughter.
Okay.
Like, just playing hide and go seek for a couple minutes.
Sure.
The phone's put away and we're playing hide and go seek. That's all it is.
Right.
Or I'm gonna do homework with you. I'm gonna put my phone away, for 30 minutes. I'm gonna do homework with you. I'm gonna be right here, right now. Then I'm gonna read a book to you at bedtime. But in the meantime, I have to do a couple of phone calls or do something else. And I think they get it and they understand it. And when we go on our trips and we do our vacations, like I'm always really good at pointing out to them, like, we're here because we achieved this because where we are now is because of the work that we've put in to get where we are now.
You started here. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten to here without doing that at the beginning.
Right.
So, but that's a good perspective and a good way, as far as I'm concerned, for them to understand, and respect that path. So that's really great advice. So hopefully everybody, knocked that one down, because that's a really good one, and I know that Young Treasure would really appreciate that.
She would appreciate that.
I
she
think
would
so.
like that.
I'm pretty positive. So going into mindset processes, education, things along those lines. I mean, what books are you reading? Maybe podcasts you're listening to, or influencers you're following on social media that really get you going for other people to maybe read or to look up into for business or personal. What are those for you?
So I just started a book called The Sales Acceleration Formula.
Okay.
I just started that.
I've not read it.
So don't quiz me on it, because I literally am like on page 5.
That's totally cool.
But I'm always reading, so I read, technically I'm on page 10 because I read 10 pages every single day.
Okay.
I have a very strict morning routine.
Wow,
it's
okay.
a very strict morning, like down to how many pages of the book I read.
All right, here's kind of an offshoot, but you mentioned morning routine. Would you mind sharing what that kind of is to get you going? I mean, because that's very insightful as well.
Okay, so here's a little peek into my life.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
So I'm up at 5:30.
Okay.
I'm up at 5. I'll usually journal and write down some things that I've had on my mind over the night, or just things that I want to kind of write down that I don't want to forget.
Okay.
I also listen to a 5 a.m. call. I usually lay in bed to listen to it.
Sure.
I'm up at 5:30. I'm to the gym by 6.
Okay.
Every day.
Awesome.
I work out until 7. Get home. The morning is for my kids to get ready for school.
Great.
But going back to that, so I get up. I listen to my 5 a.m. call. I journal. I drink a full glass of water.
Okay.
No,
that's important. That's important.
Yeah, because you're dehydrated.
Correct.
And then I read 10 pages of my book.
Okay.
I don't get on my phone to check Facebook or anything.
You haven't touched that.
Have not touched it.
Whoa, okay.
Other than to listen to my call, but I'm not
on
scrolling
social
around
media
or doing anything like that. And then when I get home, I get my kids ready for school, and then I get myself ready. I'm to the office here. The whole team is here by 8:45.
Wow.
We do a check-in with each other every single day.
Okay.
And we have a process that we follow. So we talk about what we're grateful for, what our win was yesterday, what our goal is of the day, and what our affirmation is.
Wow.
And we do that every single day as a team.
Oh my gosh.
And then we have a checklist of what we do together. So then we get in and we make our calls together of who we're going to call and what we need to follow up on, and we do all that.
Okay.
And we do that as a team, and then we talk about objections or things that have come up so that we can learn from each other and things that are changing.
That's
so
fantastic.
we do that every single day. So my day starts off at 5, and then I really get into the business.
Okay.
9:15 is really when I'm in, but I'm in the office in the meantime, and obviously things come up before that, but we really try to work our day around that. So if a client is like, I want to close at 8, we'll close them the night before, and then they fund, at 8, so that we're able to hit their goal, but it doesn't affect this process that we have, because in that process, and when we do it the most, and when it means the most, is when we don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
When we're having
wow, that hopefully you heard that. That's big.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So when we don't want to do it is really when it means the most to do it.
True.
So, and we've had hardships on our team, and we've had tragedies on our team with our teammates, and we have come together and been by each other's side in ways that is phenomenal, and something that I think everybody dreams of with colleagues and their coworkers. Of this is what I hope we really have.
A culture. A true family culture.
A true culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that was kind of an offshoot, so I didn't mean to drag you, I guess, back to books.
So I'm reading that book.
Okay.
As far as like podcasts and things that I'm doing, like, so this arm bleeds real estate.
Okay.
And this arm bleeds like Tom Ferry.
Oh, wow, okay.
So anything Tom Ferry, anything Bill Pipes, anything from my coach, the coaches, a lot of the people in the coaching network are tremendous speakers. They have tremendous content and value. Anything that they're doing from our team plus, like, I'm all into what they're doing.
Okay. Okay.
And we just went to an event in Charleston for Boomtown, which is one of our platforms that we use.
Wonderful.
And it was really phenomenal to see how many of us were speakers at that event that are in that Tom Ferry family.
Wow.
So that was really phenomenal. And it was really great for like people from the outside to see us. Like, we really do like travel together, like we migrate together, like we really want to be together. Like we're really, I would say that there's probably 2 handfuls of them that I could literally call right now and they'd be like, hey Treasure, like, what do you need? Like, what's up? What are we doing? And I'm like, I want to revise my whole listing presentation, and I'll have 10 of them in minutes. Like, you can't pay for that.
No, you
can't pay for that.
Wow.
So.
Okay, but that's light attracting light. I think that's successful people cultivating around each other, and they're growing together. That's huge.
Absolutely. So
that's huge.
The podcast is anything that Tom Ferry is doing.
Okay.
I'm there. Like, we had a great opportunity to go to Miami to hear Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh yeah, Gary's great.
Yes, and so with the coaching experiences that we have, like, we were able to listen to the Tom Ferry Gary Vaynerchuk show, and then he came to dinner with us.
Oh wow!
So
great.
we had dinner with Tom Ferry, Gary Vaynerchuk, and a lot of other, really phenomenal people like Chris Smith, who does Curator.
Okay.
And just really great people at that event. Like, Gary was like sitting across, like, hey, what do you, super casual, not a care in the world. Like, that's a phenomenal experience.
Probably in his t-shirt, you know. It's
and we took a picture where we're both like leaning, because we were talking to each other, and we like leaned over, and we took a picture, and I was like, that's such a fun picture to have. Like, we weren't posed like this, we were like literally having a conversation, and we, posed, so.
No, he's a good guy, very aggressive, very straightforward.
Super aggressive.
You can learn so much from his mindset and thought process. There's a lot of professionals out there, so.
Just be ready for the language.
Yeah, a little harsh, but if you can block that out and really just take the pieces from it, you can learn a lot. That's how I take Gary, and I've had several interactions with him over my life, and he's a good guy. So, hey Gary, if you're watching, you're probably not watching, but if you are,
you never know.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. So at that event, I told him that he's one of the reasons that I got into coaching. Because at that R4 event, there was another coach that got up first. And the coach, in my opinion, is old school, works for some people, not for me.
Sure.
And then Gary got up right after him and was like, that was the worst thing I have ever heard in my life. And everybody was like, this guy's a big time coach. Like, he's very respected. And Gary just was like,
wiped it out.
No, that was stupid. That was the worst thing I've ever heard. And then Tom Ferry gets up afterward, and I was like, no one should follow that. Like, we should just be like, thank you. Let's
leave. Let's break for lunch.
Drop the mic. And Tom got up after that, and he was like, look, this works for some, this works for others. You got to find what works good for you, and this is what I do, and this is my innovation, and this is how I do my thing. And I was like, yes.
Okay.
So I'm a huge Tom Ferry fan.
Cool.
He's one of the greatest mentors of my life. Like, I can text him, and he will text me back in minutes. And it's been proven time and time again that it's not about, again, the money that he makes. Like, he's building a culture with his coaching clients that we want to have in our industries and with our teams. Wow. And that's powerful.
For sure.
So.
No, and that's all great, as far as pieces to pull. Everybody that's watching this, as usual, I'm going to put links in the description or comment section below, the books, podcasts, things like that, so that way they can just look it up if they don't have access to it.
And most of Tom's stuff is free for people to just get into and get into. Like, he has a YouTube show that people can watch and get a lot of insight from, so they don't have to be in coaching to
to take some of that.
Take some of that, yeah, and figure out if it's something that works good for you or not.
Okay.
So
Cool,
yeah.
cool. All right, so
Okay.
last question to wrap this up, Treasure. This has been awesome.
Okay.
So if you could sum up your brand, your representation with a mantra or a quote, something along those lines, what do you live by? What does that look like for you, your brand?
So a quote that I live by is, do what you love, serving clients that you love, for the people you love.
Wow.
And that is really who I am.
Okay.
Like, I love my clients, I love my family, and I love what I do. And I'm thankful and blessed every single day that I have this opportunity, because in real estate, as you know, the failure rate is like 87%.
It's huge.
It's crazy because people get into it thinking, I'm going to make six figures and I'm going to go to baseball games every day.
I can do this, yeah, right?
If they can do it, I can
Who
do it.
thinks like that?
Yeah, I don't know who thinks like that. But it comes down to, like, how hard are you going to work, and how are you going to actually do what's right for your clients?
Right.
And I think in that becomes success. So
That's perfect. And, I think that sums up you and your brand completely, Treasure. So, again, thanks so much for being on the show. This was amazing. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and definitely paying attention for your time and everything that's going on. As always, this is every Tuesday afternoon and Friday afternoon on live. So, and we're interviewing, again, going through around the top titans in our field. And, Treasure, I would have to say, and I'm pleased to say, that you are now officially a real estate titan in my book. So thanks so much for being on the show.
Wait, before we end this,
gosh.
I have a question.
Here we go. This is thrown out here.
I know.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, I asked you before we started the show,
Yes.
like, if I could ask you some questions.
Yeah.
I have one.
All right, this is not planned. I have no clue.
I know.
All right, everybody.
He's like shaking my hand like I'm a titan. I'm your favorite real estate titan. Like, what are you talking about?
That's great.
Tell everybody, for people that don't know, like, why do you do this show? Like,
Sure.
I think it's important for people to know, like, you ask us about our success and our why and who we are. Like, I think it's important for people to know, like, who are you and why do you do this, and what's your why and what's your mantra, and, like,
Sure.
who are you?
I think that, I'll answer the first question because that's a whole nother episode, I guess. If you guys want to get to know
I'm
me.
going to interview you then.
Hey, we'll spin the camera around on the next
Okay.
one. So, but I guess the show itself, Treasure, and for me, it's all about the real estate professionals, but those top tier professionals. Not all of you are created equal, and I have a lot of friends that are not in the industry that don't really understand. They said, so can a realtor buy and sell a house, or can't they all do the same things? No, they can't. I mean, truly, if you look at it in the simplistic forms, yes, they can all help buy and sell. But those top professionals, there's so much difference. It's not just production. It's mindset, it's morals, it's ethics, it's drive, direction that they're going with their business. And I want more people to know, not just top professionals or regular real estate professionals in our market, but also in other markets, but to the consumers, to the buyers and sellers. If one person watches this that has a certain representation of what a realtor is or what a lender is or builder developer, and they watch this and they say, oh my gosh, I had no idea that they're people, right? I had no idea that they truly care and they're not just in it for a paycheck. So really, I guess I'm kind of on a crusade to represent the real estate industry in the highest of levels and the highest of lights, but then also giving insight to other professionals as to how can you get there? Look, we're all starting in a different plane, and we all come from different walks of life. We all have different whys, different challenges, but the top producers are the top producers, and they all get there differently. So I want to show everybody that you can do it, and nothing can stop you. So hopefully, this show is just starting out, and hopefully it's representing that to the masses. But we'll definitely have to save the Greg questions.
Because I'm gonna interview you.
Yeah,
I got some questions.
I'm totally down with that. One of my buddies, he kind of said the same thing, and we'll wrap it up. I'm sorry, everybody, I don't ramble. But one of my buddies said, "Hey, Greg, we should interview you," and he said, the man behind the tie. I mean, I said, okay, that's fine, whatever. But no, I appreciate that, Treasure.
No, it's good, and I think it gives people an insight to also who you are and why you're doing the show. Because I went through as I've been watching this, and I'm like, why is he doing this? Like, what's his why? And so thank you for sharing that with everybody, because I know that they want to know as well.
All right. Well, hi everybody.
The top producers want to know why are you doing this show.
That's right. The real estate titans.
The real estate titans want to know.
Thanks, Treasure. Again, I appreciate your time and everything that's going on. Again, thanks so much, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good week. See you later.
Bye.
And I think we are